A movie theater has a seating capacity of 225. 225 seating capacity. The theater charges $5 for children, $7 for students, $12 for adults. There are half as many adults as there are children. If the total ticket sales was 1636, how many children, students, and adults attended? Okay. So we're going to have three again, right? It's going to be children, students, adults. We're going to have three letters. So that means we're going to have three equations. You always have to have as many equations as you have letters if you want to get, a unique solution in the end. So let's set it up. All right. So what's the first one? Number of seats. Right? Seating capacity 225. So that's children plus students plus adults must be 225. Well, I guess you know what? This is kind of a funny problem. They never said the theater was full, but I guess we're supposed to assume because it just says the capacity is 225, but I guess they mean it's full. So the number of children plus number of students plus number of adults must be 225. All right, next we're going to do the money. It's $5 for children plus $7 for students plus $12 for adults. And that equals how much money? 1636. That's the total ticket sales. Good there? Now what else are we going to do? We've only got two equations and we've got three letters, so we need a third equation. Do you see it? Here's the other fact we haven't used. There are half as many adults as there are children. That's what we need. That's our third equation. So how do we write that? Do we say half as many adults equals the number of children? Is that right? Isn't that what it says? Half as many adults as there are children. No, that's actually backwards, but it's a very, very common mistake. That's not right. How do you know? How do you know that's not right? Let me try it out with numbers just to prove to you this is not correct. When it says there's half as many adults, say there was like only 10 adults, then there would be 5 children, right? Because half of 10 is 5. Is that right? Could there be 10 adults and 5 children? No, that'd be twice as many adults, wouldn't it? And they said half as many adults. See how that's all crazy backwards? It's the other way. It's A is a half C. Double check it. What if there was like, I don't know, 10 adults? That would be half of 20, right? Half of 20 is 10. Would that be fitting? If there were 20 children, would there be 10 adults? Yeah, because half as many adults. That's the correct way to do it. That's tricky, and that's the major tricky point, which fools a lot of people. They don't know how to handle that sentence correctly. Do you see how I handled it? Not by having some memorized, word verbiage thing. I just got real with it. Let me encourage you. That's the way to go forward in math and science. If you're wanting to get a degree in math or science, that's the way you need to increasingly think. Instead of memorizing, math and science is not mainly about memorizing things. It's understanding things. So in other words, rather than thinking, some memory thing, I just tried it out. I said, could this be right? Well, half of 10 would be 5. Is that right? Could there be 10 adults and 5 children? No, it said half as many adults. That's not right. Then I went, well, is it the other way? if this was 10, then this would have to be 20 because half of 20 is 10. Would that be right? Could there be 10 adults and 20 children? Yeah, that'd be half as many adults. That would fit with the words. This equation fits with the words. This is the one that fits. So that's the one I'm going to do. A equals a half C. Good. That's the third equation. We do need to have 3 equations if we're going to have 3 letters. So that is the third equation. I'll just call it the half equation. So we get the number of seats, we get the money, we get the half equation. Okay. By the way, let me give you one more. This is so tricky for people. And this is so much where people mess up. Let me give you one more bit of advice. Try, if you're reading a sentence that's really confusing, you don't know how to write the equation, rewrite the sentence, rewrite it with is, because is equals. If you can rewrite the sentence logically meaning the same thing using an is, that'll really help you. So, okay, there's half as many adults as children. What does that mean? That means the number of adults is, I'm using an is, there's the is half as many adults. Number of adults is half the number of children. So that means A, and is equals, right? A equals a half C. Right. That's exactly what we said. A is a half C. You see, that'll help you. Maybe there's another way. I'm going to do all I can to help because I know that's the sticking point for people. They get it backwards. They just kind of read the words quick and just go, half. They just go right here and they go half adults, okay, half A, children. No, it doesn't say is. It doesn't say is, and it doesn't mean is. It's actually the other way, right? If there's half as many adults, that means the number of adults is half the number of children. That's what it means. It means A is half C. All right, so be careful with that. Try out numbers. Try rewriting with an is. Make sure you've got that right. Don't go forward till you get that right. Okay, enough fooling around. What are we going to do? We have 3 equations, 3 unknowns. Well, first, plug A equals half C in for A in the other 2 equations. So I'm going to take this A equals a half C. I'm going to put it in right there. I'm going to put it in right there. Okay. So what am I going to get? Let's rewrite what we got when we do that. This top equation will become C plus S plus, and then A is a half C. You good there? And then the second equation, 5C plus 7S plus 12A, and what's A? A half C. Here, let me make this more clear for you. Is that good? I took that half C, put it in right there, put it in right there. Equals 1636. So what I'm going to suggest, let's what are we going to do? It's kind of messy, got fractions and everything. What's the easiest way to handle this? This right here, this is 12 times a half C. That's 6C. Are you okay with that? Because half of 12 is 6. 12 times a half of C is 6C, right? Okay. So second step, multiply top equation by 2. So I'm going to, because to get to get rid of the fractions. So what's the top equation? C plus S plus a half C equals 225, right? I'm going to multiply through that equation by 2. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other, right? You got to keep the balance. If two things are equal and you do the same thing to both of them, they'll be equal afterwards. So this 2 is going to go boom, boom, boom. So we'll get 2C plus 2S plus 2 times a half C is 450. And 2 times a half, what's that? Those just cancel out. So we get 2C plus 2S plus C. Right? Half of 2 is 1. How about that? We can do it that way. 1C. Half of 2 is 1. So now 2C and 1C is 3C. All right. That good? Now, and then bring down the second equation. Oops. What am I doing? This second equation right there. Okay, bring it down. And what do we get? That's 5C plus 7S plus 6C is 1636. Everybody good there so far? Do you see what I'm doing on that? I bring it down the second equation. You know, maybe I should write what I'm doing there. Huh? Bring down second or bottom equation. Bring down the bottom equation. Clean it up a bit. So 5C and 6C is 11C. Okay, this is a tedious problem. So now let me bring this one down also. Now we've got two equations with two letters. Everybody see that? Let me recap where we've been. This has been confusing. Not an easy one. Already it's a long and tedious question. So where we are so far. So I wrote out my first, my children, students, and adults. CS and A are my variables. 3 letters, got to have 3 equations. The first one is number of seats. They add up to 225. Money adds up to 1636. And then that weird sentence, there are half as many adults as there are children, which means the number of adults is half the number of children. So A equals a half C. And then take that and plug it in right there and right there for A into the top equation and bottom equation. So plug A equals half C in for A and the other two. So plug it in here, plug it in here. This bottom one is simple. Half of 12 is half of 12C. 12 times a half of C is 6C. So first off, multiply the top equation by 2 to get rid of the fraction, because in this top equation, we have a fraction, right? So multiply through by 2. We do that. Multiply both sides. Multiply the right side by 2 also. You can't just do the left side. Got to do both sides. You get here. And then combine the 1C and the 2C. You see that? Should be 3C plus 2S. And then down here, I brought down the bottom equation. This bottom one here, 5C plus 7S plus 6C. Combine 5C and 6C to be 11C. All right, so now I've got 2 equations, 2 unknowns. You know what to do, right? Can I just say, so this is the third step here. And then the fourth step, multiply and cancel C's in the front. So I'm going to take this 11C plus 7S, 1636, 3C plus 2S is 450. And I've got to multiply this one by -3 and that one by 11 to get those C's. Multiply to cancel the C's in the front, right? Boom, that'll make that -33. And this will be +33, and I can cancel. You know how to handle two equations with two letters pretty easily, right? I'll get -33C minus 21S equals, what's 3 times 1636? Minus 4908 on the bottom. I get 33C plus 22S is whatever 11 times 450 is, 4950. Right? And then we add them up. These cancel. And this is what, 1S, right? Because it's 22S minus 21S. Subtract these, 42. So S is 42. 1S is just S. S is 42. So we got S. We finally got S. So we got S. Now we can try to go back and get the other letters. So we've got S. The number of students is 42. Fill that in. 42. So how do we get the others? Well, now we got to back up. I'm gonna that was what, step 4. These are so long. So then the 5th step, plug S is 42 into the last step anywhere with 2 letters. Anywhere with 2 letters. So I'll just back up anywhere that has 2 letters. So like, let's grab this one, for example. It doesn't really matter which one. I'll just bring that one down. So that one says 3C plus 2S equals 450. So I'll take that S is 42. Put right in there for S. So what do we get? 3C plus 2 times S. S is 42. Equals 450. 3C plus 84 is 450. Subtract 84 from both. Cancels out. 3C is, what is that? 450 minus 84. I'm getting 366. Divide by 3. C is 122. So now we got C. We've already had S. Bring that down. S is 42. So we got C. We got S. We need, so the numbers, children is 122. Children is 122. Finally, what are we going to do? Well, you can just plug in to the top equation or just subtract from the total. Same thing. This is what, step number 6. This problem never ends. Step number 6. Finally, it's going to end here. 6th step. Plug in. S is 42. C is 122. Any original. So go to one of the originals. I'm just going to grab the very first one, which was what? Way back here. C plus S plus A is 225. You can just subtract from 225, really, can't you? C plus S plus A is 225. You could just add these and take away. It's the same thing. Plug in S. Plug in C. So 122 plus 42 plus A is 225. That'll be 1 64 plus A, and then subtract 164, and A equals, I don't know, what is that, 36 and 56, I think it's 61. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, and we got a number of adults, 61. Come on back. You could have plugged in other places too. There's a lot of choices there in the end. So number of adults, 61. There we go. So let's recap what in the world happened on that very challenging question. From the beginning, we identified we have three variables: children, students, and adults. So we need three equations. First equation, add up the total number of seats, 225, and then the money adds up to 1636, and then that weird half phrase, half as many adults as there are children. Rewrite that with an is. The number of adults is half the number of children. That's what they're saying. So A equals a half C. That's our third equation. Use that A equals a half C. That's the simplest equation. So use that one to plug in for A, a half C, to the other two. So I did that. I plugged in to the top one right there and the bottom one. This one's easy. Half C times 12 is 6C, right? Then I took that top equation and I needed to get rid of the fraction by multiplying through by 2. 2C, 2S canceled out here. Then I took the bottom equation and combined that. So eventually I got two equations with two letters. You know how to handle that. Make the C's in the front opposites, cancel them, found S, then go back up into the previous step, plug in somewhere where you just had two letters, plug in S, get C, now you've got S and C, go back to any original, plug in S and C, get your final answer. Just as easy as that. There we go.